A top 10 hit for the Cowsills in 1968, Indian Lake. Like the title of their riveting and acclaimed documentary film, Family Band, the Cowsill family has brought joy to millions since their debut in 1966. And today, in 2016, the Cowsills, Bob, Paul, and Susan, John Cowsill is currently drumming with the Beach Boys, are still doing just that. In fact, they're currently on the Happy Together tour with Flo and Eddie, Chuck Negron of Three Dog Night, Mark Lindsay of Paul Revere and the Raiders, Billy J. Kramer, and Gary Puckett and the Union Gap. And they'll be back in our area in just a few weeks with a stop at the Bergen Pack in Englewood, New Jersey on August 16th. We've got Bob, Paul, and Susan Cowsill on the phone with us directly from the tour bus right now. So let's welcome the Cowsills.
Hello.
Hello.
Well, who else is on that tour bus with you?
On our bus, we have Chuck Negron from Three Dog Night. We have Billy J. Kramer with us. And then the crew, sound and stage manager, and also Tessa, the merch girl.
That's the way we like it.
Yeah.
You know, I have to say, I saw the Happy Together tour last year, and
good.
I'm not the only one to say this because I've heard a bunch of people say this. Of course, everyone was wonderful on the tour, but the Cowsills were a revelation to me.
Oh, well, we appreciate that. You know, part of that is we stayed under the radar so long, everyone's so shocked to see us. But it's really great. The response has been real good out here, and we're real happy about that.
Well, what was astonishing to me was not necessarily how great you all sounded live, but rather how close to the records you guys sound. I mean, you were kids when you cut hits like Indian Lake, and yet you still sound exactly the same.
You know, we've been looking at it ourselves, and it's interesting because we think we're singing better than we ever sang, and Bob has been hardcore about never changing these keys, and so we're singing them in the same kid keys, but I really think with stronger voices.
Absolutely, with stronger voices.
Here's the tour bus. We have a knock at the door on the tour bus.
Let's see who it is.
Maybe if it's Chuck Negron. Let's see if it's Chuck.
Not we can't say his name.
I've just lost control of the Cowsills, everybody.
This is Ron, our tour manager.
All right.
Don't tell you his last name, though.
Hi, sorry about that. Welcome to the bus.
And you know what? I forgot what I was saying, so I just want to let everybody know I love you, man.
And happy to get the tour. Awesome to come out and see us play.
We were talking about singing in the original
The
keys.
kid keys, yes. Right. Doing the songs in the same keys actually helps, to be honest, and it makes the record sound, or their live performance sound more like the recording, and that helps a lot also, I got to tell you. And there's three of us, so we have three vocalists, and that is just so fun, you can't even believe it, to harmonize like that.
And you also had these video screens behind you playing clips of the group from television in the 60s, but musically, you're right, it's like no time has passed. Visually, of course, it's a little different. I mean, Susan, you were about 6 or 7 in those clips. You're about the size of a peanut then. You know,
I was pretty darn cute. Somebody was just showing me the other day one of those clips, one of the kids from the tour. And, boy, I was one little kind of tiny little thing with my little pixie hairdo.
What do you call little people, Susan?
I call, the fairies?
No, just a little kid. You won't say, hey.
A scoochie, a little scoocher, a little bit.
A little bit.
I call it a little bit.
Well, Susan was a little bit.
That was a little bit.
Well, here's the thing. Since you are sounding so great, is there a possibility for new music from the Cowsills?
Absolutely, and thank you for asking. The Cowsills will be going into the studio in February of 2017, and a hopeful release by the end of that year. We'll see how it goes.
Very, very cool. And maybe if you're on the Happy Together tour next year, you might be able to slip in a couple new songs.
And wouldn't that be dandy? And your lips to God's ears about us being on this tour again next year. We're really hoping for it. It's a blast.
August 12th. All the way through August 16th, we're back in, actually August 8th through August 15th, we're back in Pennsylvania, New York, and New Jersey.
Yes, on the 11th, you're in Hamburg, New York. On the 12th, Morristown, New Jersey. On the 13th, Asbury Park. On the 15th, Pomona, New York. Englewood, New Jersey at the Bergen Pack, of course, and we'll have tickets for that show. So we'll have some lucky winners. I understand that you also make a point to say hello to people and greet people after the show.
It's been a thing that we've done our whole life. We learned that as kids from our dad, man. He says, get on out there and you sign every autograph, And we did that then, and we're still doing that now. It's not something that they do here, but we kind of insisted that this is part of our life, and these people have been a part of our life for so long that, we want to see them, talk with them, meet them. We get to see pictures of the old days where we're little kids and they're little kids, and it was just different for the Cowsills and their fans because we all grew up together.
The Cowsills with 1968's We Can Fly. Bob, Paul, and Susan Cowsill are joining us right now. They're part of Flo and Eddie's Happy Together Tour 2016, and they have a bunch of shows in our area beginning August 12th at the Mayo Performing Arts Center in Morristown, New Jersey, and including a stop at the Bergen Pack in Englewood, New Jersey on August 16th. It's common knowledge that TV's The Partridge Family started out as a project for you guys to star in. In fact, one needs only to look at publicity photos of the Cowsills circa 1969 to see that the Partridge Family was very closely modeled on your family. Now, in your travels, have you ever run into David Cassidy and said, hey, buddy, this was our deal here that you managed to get?
We would do if we saw David Cassidy? We would give him 3 big hugs. Is what we would do.
Yeah, we love the Partridge
Family.
Man.
We love those guys. And look, we know what happened. I mean, we all lived the history, and now we're all beyond it. And we think they did a great job. They came to visit us. They got what they wanted to go Central Casting, and they made a really cool TV show that came at the time when our star was diminishing a bit, and they kept us in the limelight just by association. And now we mention them all the time. So we've had a good relationship.
That it couldn't have been.
One doesn't exist without the other, frankly.
Absolutely.
Yeah, awesome.
And that continues.
We did get to meet Shirley Jones when we were interviewing for our documentary, and she was
adopted
awesome.
us.
Yeah.
She said she would adopt us all. I actually had a dream that she did. A few months after my mother passed away, I dreamt that Shirley Jones adopted me. I knew things were different for our family right at that moment.
Yeah.
Can I ask you to clear up this little rumor I've heard that the sound effect of the rain on the Rain, the Park, and Other Things is actually a frying pan?
Well, here's what it is. Artie Kornfeld's our producer of that recording, and he wrote the song. They brought in over 50 samples. Now, samples were hard to come by in 1967 of rain, and none of them worked, he said. And what they ended up using was the sound of sizzling bacon in a frying pan.
Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby.
That's the rain at the beginning of the Rain, the Park, and Other Things.
That's why everybody loves it, because it's bacon.
I saw the city or just a dream.
We're back talking with the Cowsills, and I'd like to ask you about your cover version of Silver Threads and Golden Needles. Now, of course, so many people have recorded that song over the years, but your rendition is very different. The break on that goes into what I could only call early progressive rock territory.
Yeah, that was an interesting experience. That arrangement was actually the arrangement of a guy named Waddy Wachtel, who's a friend of ours. And Waddy arranged Silver Threads. He used to do it as a cover song with his band, and we loved the arrangement so much. When we had the opportunity to record it, and yeah, it wanders off a bit, but it comes back.
No, it does. But what's great about it is vocally, if you really listen, it sounds
it's a little different. Yeah,
it sounds a little bit like the sort of thing Queen would do a little later on.
Yeah, all the
yeah.
They put that out as a single. It only went up to I think the top 50 or something. It did not do well. It wasn't a big hit, but it was. But actually, we did hear from the writers of Silver Threads, and that was one of the favorite arrangements. So we were proud about that too.
We're talking with Bob, Paul, and Susan Cowsill today on the Vintage Rock and Pop Shop. Now, is it true that your hit version of Hair was at first rejected by your record label?
Well, the Hair thing started when Carl Reiner, who was a comedian back then, was having a TV special in San Francisco, and asked us. He sent us the Broadway musical album before it was even known, and said, "Take Hair in, do something you can lip sync to. We'll put it on TV. It's going to be a hoot." And so we did. We liked what we ended up doing to it, to the song, and we sent it to MGM. And now we're coming off Indian Lake, so they sent it right back to us, and they said, "This is terrible. We're not putting it out. It's not the Cowsills. We don't know what you've done here." So we were at WLS in Chicago, big 50,000 water at the time back then, especially at night. And we had an interview that night, and the disc jockey we were on with in the evening said, "Well," we told him the story. He said, "Well, let's put it on the air." And they asked their listeners to try and guess who it was, and nobody could. They were going to give them some T-shirt or something if they could. But anyway, it got airplay, and it took off out of that market, and it just became our biggest hit ever. And MGM was forced to get on board, and they learned their lesson. But we all do, we all learn lessons, including our record companies at times. But that's remember, there's only 5 of them left, if even that many. So they needed, they went the way we thought they would go.
Once again, the Cowsills will be performing in our area as part of the Happy Together tour, along with Flo and Eddie of the Turtles, Chuck Negron of Three Dog Night, the Spencer Davis Group on the second leg of the tour, Gary Puckett and the Union Gap, and Mark Lindsay of Paul Revere and the Raiders. And you can catch them August 11th at the Erie County Fair in Hamburg, New York, August 12th at the Mayo Performing Arts Center in Morristown, the 13th at the Paramount Theater in Asbury Park, New Jersey, August 15th at Provident Bank Park in Pomona, New York, and August 16th at the Bergen Performing Arts Center in Englewood, New Jersey. And this tour goes all the way through September 3rd. So do you have your own tour dates after that, or are you going to take a little break?
Well, actually, after this, we start right back up about September 21st, 22nd, 23rd in Springfield, Massachusetts at the Big E. It's a big festival, and we'll be there for 3 days. And then we head to Wisconsin, and we're going to do the Cutting Room in New York City, all there at the end of September, and then Wisconsin is October 1st.
And then we have a cruise in January.
Yeah, get on that cruise with us.
Where, if you just Google Where the Action Is cruise, you'll see who's on this one. This is a lot of fun. This is like kind of a Happy Together tour on water. But check it out. You'll love it.
Wow, the Cowsills are going full speed, full time.
Yeah, buddy, we are.
Well, it was a great thrill to see you on the Happy Together tour last year. I'm glad you're on it this year and hope you'll be on it next year, too. And my final question is for Paul.
Yes?
Now, I saw you all in concert last year, and Paul, you just bounce around the stage with so much energy. Where do you get all that energy? I mean, I have seen you...
Well, if you could see me right now when you said, "I have a question for Paul," I'm like,
He's popped up like a
I'm
poppy
so excited. He couldn't believe it. Me? Who, me? Listen, here's the deal. I am a very excitable person, and this music excites me. It's kind of like this. It's like when the NBA team is going for the championship, and the analyst goes to the coach and goes, "Well, how do you get your team up for this?" And the coach looks at the analyst and going, "Are you kidding me? This is the NBA Finals." Well, we're on the quintessential, classic rock tour, and all the biggies are here. So if you can't get excited and give 120% to every person in the audience, then you don't belong here. I'm a driven person. I'm very passionate about what I do, and when I'm up there singing with my brother and sister, there's just nothing better in the whole world.
Wow, listen
and
to...
Warren Zevon put that into song about Paul called Excitable Boy. So if you check that out.
Yeah.
A little known fact there, possible myth.
Well, again, I want to thank you so much for coming on. The Cowsills, where can people go online or on Facebook to catch up with you?
Cowsill.com. No S. Cowsill.com. And you can get linked to Susan's site, and you can get linked to, I think Paul has it's called Excitable Paul's site. No, I'm kidding. But you can get to everybody if you come to Cowsill.com.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks so much, and have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, Ghosty. Good talking to everybody. Ghosty, get
All
out
right.
the couch so I can get to a show.
Bye, Ghosty. Boo.